first episode of the Krusty Krabbers podcast. I'm your host, Jaden. Today, I have with me here Jonathan.
Yo.
Ryan.
What's good?
And Victor.
What's good?
So I hope everybody is doing well in their classes as we're nearing the end of our first semester at UOP. How do you guys feel about that?
I feel super ready, yet super cooked. But this weekend, I'm going to lock in, for sure.
It's pretty good. I'm feeling pretty excited for like the month of like break we have.
Yeah, pretty hyped for break as well. But I got to lock in for my calculus, final.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I hope everybody locks in for next week. On that note, our topic today is whether play labs are more effective than traditional school learning. So to start things off, let me just ask you guys, how effective were the play labs in core for you all? Did you guys feel like you learned more through those, or would you rather just stick to the traditional school learning?
I think they're pretty effective at the prompt they were trying to accomplish. It was problem solving, and I think it did in fact help me problem solve. Like in the beginning of the semester when we were doing board games, which isn't for me the most appealing, and I was given a big book of instructions. I found that pretty intimidating, but with problem solving, I found an easier way to learn the rules. And it was to watch a video, and that only took me like 2 minutes. And also effective at the videos, multiple people can watch the video at the same time. But not everyone can just share the instructions, so that was super fast, and I think that's what this class taught me to learn, was there's always an easier way.
Mm-hmm.
Like you say, work smarter, not harder. So for me, I feel like the playoffs were effective because, like I think it was like a few months ago, we did like the dodgeball thing.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that was pretty effective because it basically was like teaching us how to collaborate as a team together, and basically being like, oh, in order to do well in a game, we had to communicate with our teammates, and from there we were like losing to like winning a few games. And same thing with the laser tag thing. At the start, we were getting like eliminated every round, and at the end, and at the end we were like, oh, here's like the most improved team, because I think we won one of the last games where it was like the last man standing.
Yeah.
I think so.
I think we won those back to back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel it was pretty effective.
Yeah, I feel like the play labs, they're definitely more fun than traditional school learning. And I feel like it was more effective in terms of like learning how to work effectively in a team. I feel like that was better compared to like the average group project. But in terms of like, would I rather just stick with traditional school learning? I feel like it really depends on the class and what is being taught. Because I feel like in many situations, game-based learning can really benefit, teaching something, but it doesn't work in all cases.
Those are all great takes. In the terms of core, we're trying to learn how to be better problem solvers and critical thinkers. And during the play labs, when we were put on the spot, I believe it helped us with our critical thinking and having to be quick about our actions, especially in laser tag, determining where you want to go, who you want to shoot, and the type of weapon you want to shoot with. Those are all strategies that play labs helped us discover about ourselves.
So what can be considered traditional school learning or traditional education?
I feel like my personal definition of traditional school learning is like, going to class every day and like having to listen to lectures, having quizzes, tests, homework assignments that you have to do, a lot of reading as well. I think that's what I would consider traditional.
What I consider traditional learning is a linear way of learning. Like you start in chapter 1 and you end in chapter 10, and along the way you learn these skills. I guess that can be applied in a lot more subjects than non-traditional learning can be applied in. And I think traditional learning also has more emphasis on the teacher-student relationship.
And as you were saying about the relationship between the teacher and the student, do you feel like it's different in the terms of traditional learning and the play lab learning, or how do you feel about that take?
I think in the play labs and non-traditional learning, they help you in the start, but it's kind of like riding a bike. Like they kind of like teach you like how to like do it, and then when you get like the necessities and the bare hang of it, then they kind of let you go. And then there, you start to problem solve, like how to steer and how to balance. They can't really teach you that by holding you. So that's something you have to do on your own. Like when he taught us, like, oh, this is the game you're gonna play, and this is the rule book. But like, he's not gonna play the game with us. We need to keep ourselves accountable of playing the right game. And with traditional schooling, the teacher is consistently there, and they're always they keep you accountable of staying on track because they're supposed to keep you on the linear path. If you mess up, they're like, no, this is how you do it. In non-traditional, you're the one that's supposed to figure out what you did wrong.
Okay. On that note, we've defined what traditional school learning is and our different aspects and takes on it. Now let's reflect a little more on our play labs. So for me personally, I'm a very sporty guy. I like to play sports and be active. And I feel like the play labs really helped me learn certain things we were trying to discover when playing a certain game, as in team building, being able to recognize the type of player you are when you play a certain game. And in laser tag, I believe there's different roles you can play. You can be a team leader or a team player, and it just all depends on the situation you are put in. And I think, like Victor said, when you actually play the game, you're kind of learning how to do it on your own with very simple rules, and you just kind of have to actually play in order to learn. So I can say from my background, especially in sports, I think play labs are very effective for me in terms of learning.
I think I'd like to disagree with you respectfully. Since you brought up your background in sports, I give my background in music education. I can see how non-traditional could be effective in sports because that's also effectively a game. But in my world of education, I think I cannot learn, me personally, without a set path. I think it's more effective because you just can't give someone like a guitar and then expect them to know what to do with it.
As you say, you're a music education major.
Right.
In the terms of games, let's say if you play Guitar Hero as a game, would you be able to actually take that knowledge in the game and take it to actually playing a song on the guitar?
I don't think so. When you play Guitar Hero, have you ever played Guitar Hero?
No.
On guitar, there's frets, and you put your fingers on the string. And Guitar Hero, there's color-coded buttons, and you try to line up the button. But like when you're playing in real life, you don't have the buttons are coming flying at you. And sure, it's a fun game, and I bet you can get the sound of guitar and some of the technique in air quotes. But I don't think you can really apply it. That's something you would have to, like a game can't simulate that. Like, also like driving simulators, like it's not the same as driving a real car.
You would actually have to get the feel for it.
Yeah.
Like, say like, oh yeah, I play Call of Duty. I know how to handle guns. I don't.
You don't.
Yeah. It's not, the skill is non-transferable between those two, like between the game and the actual activity.
Uh-huh.
I think personally, the play labs, they did help me learn how to be, better in a group setting. Although I do feel that it doesn't always like have as many benefits, it really depends on what you're trying to teach. I feel like play labs definitely have a lot of potential, but it can't fully replace traditional learning. It has to be like complementing it. And I feel like a lot of classes could really benefit from that.
So off of that topic, you think traditional learning and play labs, they in a way complement each other?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of schools, a lot of places, they just do traditional school learning and nothing else. And that has failed some people. Some people just don't learn that way. And I feel like incorporating some aspect of game-based learning would really help these people. And it would be more accommodating for everyone.
And as you said earlier, you said it depends on what you're learning. Would anyone like to go further into that?
Well, yeah, it's let's say you're learning you're learning calculus, and you're learning how to do the derivative on like a bunch of different problems. You have to use something like the product rule, quotient rule, chain rule. A game-based learning can't really teach you that. You can't really tell someone to like, oh yeah, here's derivatives, do them. In the same way that you would be like, oh, here's dodgeball, play dodgeball.
That's very true. I think it all accounts for the strategy, and because you can't just learn derivatives. But when you play dodgeball, it's just a simple, in a way, common sense. Do not get hit by the ball.
Yeah.
And I think as you play over time, you get better. Unlike when you actually have to learn a set rules and strategies, especially in math, it's just way more different than actually applying it to a certain game.
Yeah. It's different how you apply these like strategies and techniques. It's way more different, and that's why I feel like all in all, it would be like whatever game-based learning can't do, the traditional based learning does, and whatever traditional learning can't do, game-based learning does. So I feel like having both methods in the same like teaching environment would be like very beneficial, because it would be like it would make people more invested into like the material or even the teacher, which would really help with like learning.
Piggyback off what you said how it's more beneficial if you sort of use them together, traditional learning and play labs. When I was younger, I used to play a game called Big Brains, and it's an alien math game. So you play as an alien and you go into this journey, and every time you come across an obstacle, you would have to solve the math problem in order to move on. And I think a lot of industries or people are trying to create more games that include education. So in a way, it kind of relates to how they're putting the play labs or a certain game and traditional learning and just combining it. And I feel like you said how they really complement each other, and I agree with you.
Well, yeah, I feel like all in all, I feel like it would be best if we had both of these together more, because since they're more different than they are the same, it would be best if we could put these together in some sort of like mixed environment to make learning more fun and also more effective, and also make it so like it advocates for each individual. Because let's say one guy like learns like a bit slower than the rest, I feel like an environment like that would actually help him, because it would be like, okay, let's do things a bit more your way, and be like, it will help everybody.
And going back to the topic, the overall topic of this episode, I think for me, play labs are more effective than traditional school learning.
I think traditional is more effective. If it ain't broken, don't fix it.
Me personally, I think it's like it's neither. It's like neither one or the other. I think it's like both can be equally as effective.
I think regardless of what we think about the play labs and how effective they are, I think I can really appreciate how passionate our Core 1 professors are. It seems like they're like genuinely believing in what they're trying to teach, and that played a big part in me feeling invested in what was going on.
Should we give them a round of applause?
On that note, we're going to be wrapping it up. Thank you everybody for listening, and I hope everyone has happy holidays.